Welcome to Motherhood Unstressed, a podcast for anyone who wants to let go of stress and anxiety and learn how to be more fully present in life. Each week, I'm speaking with experts in the fields of entrepreneurship, nutrition, mindset, sex, spirituality, and so much more. I'm your host, Liz Carlisle. I'm a writer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur. Through my own struggle to balance the demands of motherhood and life, I discovered that to truly be happy, we need to be present. Your journey to feeling less stressed and more blissfully present in your own life starts right now. Hey guys, in this episode I'm speaking with Precious K. Williams. She is a counselor and motivational speaker in Atlanta, Georgia. And she is the founder of Simply Passionate Life, which is a lifestyle brand and motivational media outlet for ambitious adults. As the daughter of two Ghanaian immigrants, Precious holds the worldview that we all must treat one another as neighbors in one global community, which I love. And with her platform, she inspires women every single day to lead lives where they're not trying to escape their lives. They're still working for something better, for something greater, but they're not running away from their current life experience, which I think is so important to note. It's something that we gloss over all the time. So I think when we are fully aware that, yes, we're in this spot right now, this is not maybe where we want to be, but we're here and we're enjoying our time, our day, our minutes, our moments with our family and just everyone in our lives, that does change things. It does make achieving our dreams, achieving our passions possible. You know, it's I've heard it a million times. If you don't correct your mindset in the here and now, in the present moment, you're never going to get to where you want to be. So I'm so excited to share this episode with Precious with you. Screenshot it, share it on your Insta story, share it with a friend, leave us a 5-star review, all that jazz, and enjoy the episode. This episode is sponsored by Motherhood Unstressed CBD supplements. These are the supplements that I created last year with the intention of helping you battle stress and anxiety naturally. And so many of my customers have reported that they're able to sleep so much better. They're able to wean themselves off of their traditional antidepressants. And of course, this is something that you would talk to your doctor about. But people are doing it every single day. So these are actually working. And we have the CBD capsules with ashwagandha and green tea. And green tea has been shown to help with weight loss, as does CBD. It actually browns the fat that you already have and turns it into that fat that's easily metabolized, which is amazing. And green tea obviously is full of antioxidants and helps with that process. And ashwagandha is amazing for your liver. It helps your liver and your adrenals detoxify and be strong so that you feel your best and live your best life. Head on over to motherhoodunstressed.com and purchase yours today. Well, welcome, Precious, to the show. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited to talk about this particular topic, just because I know it's so needed, and especially as we're in like the dead of winter, this is so needed. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so why don't we start by giving our listeners a little bit of your origin story and how it led to you being a coach and a motivational speaker.
Ooh, thank you. I'm the daughter of two Ghanaian immigrants. So I've always had this understanding of like a global community and that life is way more than just possessions and material things that we find in Western culture. So that's kind of always been a part of my story. But in 2017, I had this burning desire that summer that I felt like I was meant for more. My daughter was 2 years old. I worked from home, and I really loved the work I was doing with my family, with my church, my husband, my kids. I felt like there was a bigger story that I really wanted to share with people. And so in talking to some of my passion partners and friends, they're like, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Because you can get to people's homes without having to travel to their homes. And so I stewed on that for a little bit. And then like the week of the 2017 election, I decided, you know what? It's time. It's time to go ahead and launch. You know, it's time to stop being fearful and be bold and start Simply Passionate Life. So started with a YouTube channel and an Instagram page and kind of learned from that point forward what a brand was. And so, and I think that was actually 2016. Wow, the years are going by pretty fast. So we're in 2019 now. So that's how my origin of my brand started, very organically out of a need that I felt I was seeing in the world, for people to be more content in the moment and more positive where they were.
That's so interesting. And was it that message that you had before you even got started, or did that kind of evolve from the responses you were getting from the people who were watching your YouTube and following you on Instagram?
I think that was really it. What initially started was I had a lot of colleagues, friends. I was before I had my daughter, I was personal training, and a lot of people I would talk to were just like, I just want to know my purpose. I want to know what I'm on earth to do. And I would always encourage them, live each day with more passion, with more intentionality, and you'll find it. Don't spend a lot of time searching for it that you're not living the current life you have. And so that was my message, just in that, friendship conversations, small, consultations with people. But when I started my channel and when I started my brand, it became more evident that that was really like my heartbeat, that I really wanted to show people that you can enjoy the life you're living while you work for the life you want. Like, there are simply passionate moments in every day, but you might be ignoring them in the pursuit of something bigger, greater, and what's next.
Right. Oh, I just got chills when you said that, because I think it's so true. It's like we do get caught up in the next thing and the next goal, and, oh, look at her over there. She's got the Mercedes and, the perfect kids and all this stuff. And it's like you just miss out on your life and feeling good right now. So why do you think that so many people struggle with this? Why is it like you have to constantly put out content reminding people to check in and be present and be mindful?
Wow. Well, on some regard, people would say our hearts are made for idols, right? Our hearts are made with these big empty holes in them, waiting to be filled with whatever we can get our hands on. And then in a Western society, we have so much we can get our hands on. So it's just constant spinning of our wheels to get the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But what I really believe is just that part of it is a healthy ambition. Part of it is a healthy desire to pursue life, right? We want to do well. We want to feel self-actualized as a counselor without learning counseling school. We want to be self-actualized. We want to feel like we ended up living our lives and hashtag living our best life. But the reality is you have to live in order to even follow through with that homage. Like, you have to actually live in order to live your best life. And a lot of people are we're so infatuated with documenting our best life. We're so infatuated with assessing and analyzing our best life that we're not actually living it. And so that's when I had to realize, like, for me, if I go to dinner with my family, maybe I take a picture, but learning to post it after I leave from the dinner, so that I could actually live in that moment instead of being so focused on documenting the moment.
I love that you just said that, because I think it's so relatable. Like, we're all doing it and everyone's doing it, so it feels completely normal. And this is just what people do. So what are some key things that you share with people to tap into their lives, to be more mindful, to like enjoy those little moments in their day, so that, they wake up and they look around and they're like, oh, like, I'm here. Like, this is good. Like, I feel good and I'm here. Like, what do you tell them to do?
Oh, that's a great question. And you're so right about it seeming normal, because I have an 11-year-old who doesn't have a phone yet. And so her observations of people and things that people do when they have phones is hilarious. So she's like, I just don't get it. Like, they're texting each other and they're in the same room. Like, so she really brings some insight. But some tips that I do give, especially for those who participate in my 31-day challenge, is that we wake up every morning with a mindfulness exercise, which is composed of asking yourself or reminding yourself of who you are, what you have, and then going into what you want and what you need. And because a lot of times we just start off with, I need to do this, A, B, C, D, and E. I have this much stuff to do on my to-do list. And we don't even take inventory of what we already have and who you really are outside of those things that you have and outside of those things that you need to do. And so really starting with the mindset. I know it's like such a popular term now, but as a counselor by trade, I know that the mind is so powerful. And a lot of times we are either very, very focused or very, very aware of our lives and things that we have to do in our lives to the point where we're overthinking, or we're walking in autopilot, paying no attention to our lives and no attention to the things that we have and things that we need. So that's one of the main ways I encourage people to be very intentional about starting their day that way. And then the second way is that I always say, every moment is a message. You just have to pay attention. So sometimes when things are not necessarily going the way you want, or when things are going great, consistently ask yourself, what am I learning in this moment? That question can turn a horrible day into a productive, opportunity. And it can turn a great opportunity into like a meaningful lifelong memory, if you can really assess as soon as possible within that moment, what are you learning? What is this teaching me? I hope that makes sense. But
I love that. No, absolutely. And I think whenever we get really curious about what's going on in our day to day, like it brings the emotionality out of it. Like, and you can look at a situation and be objective because you're just being curious about it. And it's like you're watching it as an outsider. And that to me is super empowering because I'll be in my morning and it's crazy and we're running late and we're trying to get breakfast. And if I feel myself start to like tighten up and start to get stressed out and I can just stop for a second and think like, okay, Liz, like, why are you so upset right now? Like, is it really that big of a deal? Then it's like, my shoulders drop and I'm like, I'm back, like I'm back in the moment and it's okay. Like that's empowering, and so many people need that reminder, just that little tiny moment where they can turn it around and like you turn your whole day around.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think it's funny that you said that when you said stop for a moment and like ask yourself, why are you so upset? A lot of us don't have, and my pastor talks about this all the time, don't have any margin in our lives. So we don't even have a moment to ask ourselves or to give ourselves a moment because we overpack our day, overstuff our day. And especially if you're talking about women who may be single and multifaceted, have multiple roles and responsibilities, married, and dealing with, that dynamic, or married with children and dealing with those triple threat dynamics. Right. We have to find a way to schedule, mindfulness into our day, schedule time into our day. We've all been to those conferences where they have sessions back to back with no transition time. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like, how am I going to leave this session at 10 o'clock and the next session starts at 10 o'clock?
Right.
And we do that with our lives. We don't book in travel time. We don't book in the time it takes to buckle the kids into the car seat. Mm-hmm. So we're rushing, they're rushing, and now they're seeing like, wow, this is what my life is going to be. I'm going to be rushing. I have to move fast. I have to be ahead of myself, and it doesn't have to be that way. So learning that no matter what stage of life you're in, is so important, just to learn how to give yourself a little bit of margin so you do have time and space to say, hey, let me take 5 minutes because I have it to stop for a second, Yeah,
and that's the reality. Like we actually do have the time. It's that intention of grabbing that time. And I used to call it like stealing time because there was like this level of guilt around it. But it's really like, this isn't self-care like this. I mean, it is self-care, but this isn't like, I'm not luxuriating over here. Like this is for my survival and this is for my family's survival. And these kids, our kids are watching us, they're watching how we are. They watch how we be, and what we model is what they're going to think is okay and think is normal. And like, it's not even like they're going to think about it. That's just what they're going to program, in their software. So I love that you said that. Yeah.
So true. The software. I love that. I'm going to steal that.
I love it. I know. Like I heard that recently. I'm like, yeah, like you can change your software. It just takes a lot of work, as an adult. But, for all the people that you've worked with and counseled, what have been some of the most transformational moments that you've seen just by kind of helping people realize that they have the power to change their lives and be happier and be more passionate in their daily lives? I'm just curious.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think a lot of some of the times have been with people who did not know they had a problem, who they knew they were a little dissatisfied, but they didn't really realize that they had a problem that they could fix. So, I had a mom who was in school, worked. She had like 2 teenage kids and then like a 4-year-old. And just was really, she just thought she had to want to lose weight. Because part of my story was I used to be 250 pounds and lost weight naturally, no surgeries or anything of that sort, but lost 75 pounds over a course of 2 years. And so I help women with that aspect of their lives as well. So she just thought, I just need to lose some weight. Once I lose weight, things will be fine. But she started to realize how much she was neglecting that mind space, how much she believed that she had strong faith, but really was never giving herself an opportunity to like stand on that faith and stand on that, what she knows about who she is and what she's capable of. And so just watching that aha moment, like, oh, like I really haven't been taking inventory of my life. Like I really haven't been being grateful for the fact that I'm able to work and go to school. And I haven't had a nervous breakdown. Like being able to like give yourself some credit, and I think that's part of like one huge thing I teach is like giving yourself grace. Like sometimes we have expectations on ourselves that God, doesn't have on us. Like how can you, a created being, have higher expectations of yourself than your creator? And I think that a lot of times we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be something that we were never meant to be, which is perfect. And so those moments are always great for me. Those are the simple moments. I really do cherish the simple moments. They're the big ones where someone is, depressed and then you start seeing them come out of that. Those are always amazing. But just those simple moments where people realize, like, wow, adding an extra 10 minutes to my day or waking up an extra 30 minutes earlier has kind of shifted my whole, life.
I love that you just said that. Oh my goodness. And it's so true, and it's like, it's so hard, I think, for us to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes to bring in that self-awareness and to kind of see, like, I loved when you said you have them like write about like who they are, because I mean, what do people typically write when they ask that? Cause I think it's such a tough statement or a tough question. What do you see come up a lot when you ask people to do that in the morning?
First of all, it's hard for them.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest questions. I do that in my speaking, a lot of my workshops as well, as ask you to introduce yourself without a role. And so initially I have to kind of educate them on what that means, because we are a very work-based society. So we're not in the caste system formally, but sometimes it feels that way because you definitely, you lead with what you do. You lead with where you go to school. You lead with your, marital or your relationship status. Is a lot about status. So teaching that first is key. And then I have them do just simple statements. So I give them examples like, I am loved. I am enough. I was created for more. Just a simple I am statement to ground them in, okay, before I see anybody, before I talk to anybody, this is who I am, and it can change every day. It's going to change every day, and it should be something simple. It doesn't have to be something profound. There's no quiz at the end. But just a reminder for yourself that, what, before I make a mistake, because I'm going to make one probably before I get to the bathroom, you know what, I am loved. I am an overcomer. I am redeemed. If you're someone who has that faith worldview, like, who are you? And that kind of helps, because there's one thing to know something, there's another thing to apply what you know. I think a lot of times we know, and if someone was to ask you, like, are you loved? Yeah, of course. But applying that knowledge that you're loved and that you were created for, success and love and growth and peace and all of these things that I believe God has created us for. If you don't apply that knowledge, then you just continue to live a life that's lackluster. It's not really full with passion.
Absolutely. And to say it to yourself, like, how harsh are we, in our self-talk to ourselves? I mean, it's everyone that you see, anyone in a bad mood, I guarantee you, is talking to themselves like 10 times worse. I mean, it's awful. It's a tragedy. And so many people, like you said, aren't even aware of it. So to say, I am loved, or I am, surrounded by support, or, whatever it may be, like, that's powerful. And people aren't doing that enough, and so to bring that, like, right now, you just brought that into everyone who's listening to this, into their field of awareness. And I guarantee you, they're going to start doing it. And it's going to, it'll change your vibration. Like, I just keep going back to that because it's so true.
So true, because a lot of times you start off, I'm tired.
Yeah,
that's the first thing you say to yourself when you wake up, like, oh, I could use an extra hour of sleep, and so you're already setting off your day in a state of discontentment.
Right.
And so, that definitely goes on. I read somewhere that said, would you want someone to talk to you the way you talk to yourself?
Right.
And I think that we would be mortified if someone else said some of the things we say, and like you said, in our self-talk, it would be a problem.
Right.
So we definitely have to work on that.
Man. So of all the things that we've talked about today, what's the main thing? What's the biggest takeaway?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So many things. But I think my biggest thing that I say more than anything else is that you can enjoy the life you have while you work for the life you want. And I think that says a lot about being grateful, says a lot about being present, about taking inventory of where the relationships you've been blessed with, the resources you've been blessed with, the state you're in. You might be in a job that you feel like is beneath you or is not for you, but what are you learning there? Can you appreciate that moment? Can you be grateful that there is a percentage of people in this country and the even bigger percentage of people in this world that are underemployed or not employed? Can you take inventory of that and appreciate the life you've been given for this moment? Because that same spirit of discontentment and not being grateful will carry you from the entry level to higher level management to entrepreneurship. If you can't take inventory of what you've been given in this moment, you won't be able to do it when you have more. So that's my biggest, that's one of the biggest lessons, biggest things that I want people to get from Simply Passionate Life. And I want people to get from myself as I speak and work with women, is to just really appreciate the life you've been given, even while you work for the life you want. Faith, family, fitness, anything. Yeah.
Anything. And that's the thing. Like, even if you were given $1 million the next day, like how many lottery winners lose it because they weren't ever, appreciating money, or,
Right.
even when they had a little bit, they didn't know how to fully embody that, grateful attitude about it. And so of course it's gone. And it's like anything else. Like, I'll be happy when my husband starts doing this, and then he would start doing it. And then you just find something else that,
exactly.
that makes you happy. So you're so right. You can't really move to that next level of success until you are grateful for where you are. And like you said, learning from every moment. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Because what is success then? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you continue to let your success be defined by other people and society standards, that's going to shift in 20 years too.
Yes.
I mean, it was successful to, I don't even want to go into that, but success, it just has to come to the point where when I have peace, that's success, and I'm able to be at peace and be able to relate to myself and sleep and wake up and be like, wow, this is good. Whether you're in a 500 square foot apartment or a 5,000 square foot house, like where your peace is really your success. And so
100%.
Yeah, you're completely right.
Okay, so I do have some rapid fire questions.
Ooh, rapid fire. Okay, I like that.
Just 3. Here we go. Okay. A passionate life is?
A passionate life is intentional.
Ooh, I like that answer. I'm grateful for?
Oh, my loves. I have a lot of loves in my life. So my loves and relationships.
Nice. And what's something that you've learned in life that you wish someone would have told you earlier on?
Ooh. Well, that what you think about yourself is the most important thing. What you think about yourself and what you think about God is the most important thing. Everything else is going to come along, but figure out that first.
I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, so for our listeners, what's the best way to connect with you or book you for a speaking engagement and find out all the cool things that you're doing for women?
Oh, wow. So in this world of so many platforms, Lord, you can always find me on my website, www. And my husband laughs because people don't say www anymore, so that makes me kind of old. Oh, you can find me at my website. Mine is the www, just simplypassionatelife.com. You don't actually have to put www in there anymore to find me. And then Instagram is one of my favorite platforms, Simply Passionate Life. But I'm on LinkedIn and everywhere else, same thing, Simply Passionate Life. So but my website is a really great place to start, especially if you are looking for a speaker or to get involved in my freestanding group coaching programs, but for the most part, website and Instagram.
And is your YouTube channel still active?
It's still open. I do a lot more reposting my live content from Instagram on YouTube because I began to realize that I had to force myself to take my own advice when it came to YouTube. It was a lot of me trying to be perfect, get the perfect lighting, the perfect production, perfect editing. And I was spending way more time in the what I was doing and not enough time in the why I wanted to do it in the first place. So Instagram allows me to be a little more organic with it. But I am in 2019 going to do better at weekly posting my Tuesday night lives that I do on Instagram back onto my YouTube channel so that people can have access to it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for all that you're doing. You are a true light worker in the world. I'm so glad that we connected, and I'm so glad that I was able to offer you a platform to share your light with all the listeners today. Hey guys, this is Liz Carlisle, and you've been listening to the Motherhood Unstressed podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you love this episode, please share it with a friend. Please leave us a 5-star review and screenshot you listening to this and what you liked about the episode and tag me at Motherhood Unstressed on Instagram. And I will, of course, share it back out so that we can create more of a community vibe from the show. See you next time.